Hello, everyone. How are we all doing today? I mean, it's amazing having to see you all today. What an interesting session, right? I mean, I would say for those who have not seen this year, Happy New Year. I'm happy to actually get to to see you this year, right? I think this is my first session for the year, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm glad that I'm having this session with you, right? So, yeah, um, let's dive right into it. I hope that it will be an amazing session, and I hope that you actually get to learn something from this session, right? So, yes. Of course, I'm supposed to be with my favorite guys in the house, but for some reason, they are not able to join me on this call. Nevertheless, we are going to proceed with this session. So I would proceed by sharing my screen. Yes, let me share my screen. 1 minute while I do that. Okay, good. Okay. I hope you are able to see my screen now. Um, all right. Take this on stage. Awesome. 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 All right, everyone. So, as you can see on the screen today, I'm talking about Foundry IQ, right? Um, Generally, the topic itself is building your first Foundry IQ application, right? Building your first Foundry IQ application. And of course, like I said, this session was supposed to be presented by, my fellow MVPs in the house, Chidebere Ugu and Iheana Churchku. But for some reason, they are not able to join. So we are going to be proceeding with the session. But of course, for you to be able to build your Foundry IQ application, I think you need to understand some things about Foundry IQ. And that is what we plan to discuss today, right? So we are going to be talking about Foundry IQ, what are the business impacts, and how can we actually build a Foundry IQ application? I think we've got some guide and we'll follow through the guide and actually test and see, right, how a Foundry IQ application behaves. All right. So without further ado, I think we can proceed. But just before that, I am looking to see, yes, how we can get our application up and running. Just a minute, confirming that everything is all right. Okay, good. Yes, I see it's all right. Okay, so now I can proceed with this session. All right. Awesome. So, um, I would say kudos to Chidebere Ugu. He's also an MVP for Azure, a Microsoft MVP for Azure, and also Chidebere, and also Ian Achochukwu, who is also an MVP for Azure as well. They have been great teammates, and um, I would say, it's been a wonderful thing working with them, setting up all of this channel and all of that. But in the meantime, let's go on. All right. So, like I mentioned before we can we can talk about how to build a Foundry IQ application. We need to first of all understand what Foundry IQ is all about. And for those of us who are not aware what Foundry IQ is all about, this actually started sometime last year, I would say around the Ignite session, the Microsoft Ignite session. That was the first time we did have, um, I did hear about the word Foundry IQ, but I feel like the works have already been in process. The Microsoft team has been building all of this. And I would say the introduction of the AI agents sometime last year around the um, Microsoft build period in May kind of led up to this point where we are talking about Foundry IQ, right? So I know it was officially announced in on the Microsoft Ignite event in November last year, but like I said, there have been works that have been in play before the announcement, right? So Foundry IQ is none other than just an intelligent layer, right? An intelligent layer above your data, right? So if you see here, it says Foundry IQ provides advanced analytics and optimization capabilities that analyze agent behavior, identifies performance bottlenecks, and recommends improvements automatically. So look at Foundry IQ as that intelligent layer that is sitting above your data, right? It absorbs all your data or information which you are provided to your AI system. And when you send query to your AI system connected to Foundry IQ gets to, because it has an overview of all of the information which you presented or which you've added to it, it helps to give you the relevant data related to your query, right? So it generally just looks for the relevant data related to your query. Now, you may be wondering, right? Um, what other characteristics, right, do we have of Foundry IQ? What other characteristics do we have of Foundry IQ? I think um, to get a better understanding on how it works, you have to understand its behavior. And that's why you see here behavior analysis, right? And then you need to also talk about its performance optimization and the quality assurance. So, behavioral analysis is none other than analyzing, right, the way Foundry IQ behaves, right? So it's a real-time monitoring of the agent decision patterns, tool usage, and what conversation effectiveness with detailed performance metrics, right? So Foundry IQ provides you real-time monitoring of agent decision patterns, right? You are able to understand this, right, through the behavior analysis of Foundry IQ. You can be able to get real-time answers based on the prompts you make. Now, in terms of performance optimization, right, um, you can instantly identify the inefficiencies or suggested improvement to agent prompts, workflows, and what resource allocation, right? Because of the way Foundry IQ is, once you're configuring your application, if for instance you don't present the right data for a query being made, it will tell you, look, I don't have this data, right? So you are able to identify the inefficiencies automatically. You are able to identify the inefficiencies automatically. All right. And then, like I also mentioned, quality assurance, right? So, continuous evaluation of agent outputs against quality standards with automated alert for what anonymous behavior patterns, right? So you can actually evaluate the agent output against quality standards, and then you get to understand that Foundry IQ really gives good performance results and good quality as well. All right, let's proceed. Now, while I was looking into this and doing my research, I mean, for you to understand um, more on Foundry IQ, how about we look into use cases where enterprise teams make use of what Foundry IQ, right? And some of the use cases you'll find where Foundry IQ is being used is what in um, well, you can see Foundry IQ coming when you have to, for instance, you need assistance with your physics, chemistry, biology hypothesis, right? And controlling laboratory equipment via what connected APIs, right? This is where you can actually bring in Foundry IQ. Also, in terms of customer facing accuracy, Foundry IQ can act as your master librarian, right? Because it understands the intent, right? It helps match your holiday rules to annual leave policy and provide synthesis with citation. Now, you may not understand when it says provide synthesis with citation. So, what your Foundry IQ is basically doing is you provide data to your AI system, let me say true files, right? Your Foundry IQ is like that intelligent layer that is above the files you presented. It absorbs all the information in the files and it's able to provide synthesis. By synthesis, it means that it's able to reason and provide you the data is gotten in the files in a way you would understand, meaning that it doesn't just do a copy and paste. No, it doesn't just do that. It looks at it, tries to make a meaning of the data, and then provides you an answer in a reasonable sense, something that you would be able to understand. Also, in terms of operational and IT efficiency, retailers use Foundry IQ to ground agents in massive data sets from SAP or Dynamics 365, enabling them to autonomously coordinate logistics and inventory based on live context, right? So you can as well use Foundry IQ for training agents, right? You can as well do that. And in terms of decision support, so say for instance, executives that have to query complex financial data across multiple spreadsheets and policy documents for regulatory compliance, right? Because of the fact that Foundry IQ can help you do these queries seamlessly, right? You are now able to make accurate decisions because you then have all the facts you need to make that decision, right? So Foundry IQ would help in understanding what transpired in the documents you provided with it and then provides you an answer based on that. And then also you can find Foundry IQ in what internal knowledge hubs, right? Say for instance, agents handle tier one support queries, escalating complex issues to humans while maintaining full conversation context and history. So in its own, Foundry IQ can help, in your tier one support queries, right? In your tier one support queries, Foundry IQ can help you handle that because you are able to interact with the, let's say, the files which you've provided to it, and it reasons the answer and gives synthesizes its reply before sending it down to you. All right. So, what are some of the business impacts for Foundry IQ? What are some of the business impacts for Foundry IQ? So, before we dive into the practical session, Foundry IQ on its own, right, in terms of business impact, is the fact that for operations and development efficiency, it's able to help reduce engineering overhead, faster AI development and deployment, and also automated data management. Now, in terms of strategic and governance impacts, Foundry IQ provides enterprise grade security, centralized governance, unified context layer as well, right? And in terms of performance and reliability improvement, Foundry IQ provides you with increased accuracy, reduced hallucinations, and freshness awareness. So when we say reduce hallucinations, you remember back earlier on when these models came out, we observed back then that you would send a query or a prompt to these LLMs, and sometimes they go into a loop process where they keep giving you the same data over and over again, right? But with Foundry IQ, even though it is agent based, you don't have this issue. Why? Because it's able to sync all the data which you have provided it with, analyze its reasons before it gives you its reply. It's actually giving you a reply from the document you have shared in your AI system, but then it tries to understand where your perspective is coming from before it gives you your reply. All right. So we are going to be doing a live demo, um, just generally explaining to you so you can have more context as to how to build your first Foundry IQ application. Now, in this particular diagram, right, you can see here that this is your, let's say, look at this app UX as maybe your laptop or a device which you can use to communicate with your app server or orchestrator, right? Your app server or orchestrator will be the particular host hosting your AI system, right? Now, this host, in our case, this host hosting your AI system is a web app, right? But the web app itself, for it to be able to function, it's connected to an Azure AI search, right? And because of the fact that it needs an agentic element which would help it reason and synthesize its answers, we brought in the what Azure Open AI component, right? This helps with the prompt plus knowledge response, right? So, say for instance, right, we have loaded files or documents, right, that we would need into the Azure AI search. A user comes in, connects to this app UX, and tries to make a query. The query comes down here to the host, but then before this host will reply back to the customer or the client, it talks to what the Azure Open AI. Azure Open AI understands the prompt, and in terms of the knowledge base, it then comes here and checks on the Azure AI search. Do we have a knowledge base or something that relates to this particular topic in question? Once it does that check and it has a reply, it then gets the knowledge or the reply from Azure AI search to Azure Open AI, and then from here back to the host, and then from the host back to the client or the sender, right? So, in other words, it then gives us an idea how we can proceed, right? It then gives us an idea how we can proceed and how we can, at the same time, be able to um, get the prompts from the users, right? I hope this is Making quite some sense. All right. So I think it's time for me to actually show you in Azure Portal how this works. Right. So I'll be sharing my screen. Just a moment. All right. One, two. All right. I think it is this. So I'm gonna stop this. Okay. So I'll just pause this and end the show. And I'm gonna share my screen here to show you what we have in Azure Portal. All right, so good. And I believe you are able to see my screen. So, look at this as our lab environment, right? So, I'm going to make this bigger. So, if you remember previously in the diagram, maybe I should make this bigger here so you're able to see this, and I can make this in such a way that you are able. Awesome, good. So if you remember previously in the diagram, you are able to see here the app orchestrator, right? In our case, like I mentioned, the app orchestrator here is the web app, right? This web app serves as the app orchestrator, right? And then for the Azure AI search, that's what you have here. You can see here, I have also connected the Azure AI search. This is the search service itself. Sorry, let me take a drink. All right, so as you can see here, this is the search service itself, right? And basically, what this does is that it holds on to our knowledge base, our knowledge sources, right? And indexes and the indexers, right? So, what we have done here is for this particular scenario, we've created like an index, right? And um, the index is connected to a storage account. So you can see this is connected to a storage account, right? That helps to sync. So it's connected to a blob in a storage account, right? And from there, we get to see, for instance, if documents are added, right? So what do I mean by that? You will see here. I think I have a couple of storage accounts here, but I want to show you the one in particular. Good. So here, the way the system is built, right? Oh, so it's saying something about some authentication issue. That happens. That happens sometimes. So, okay, you do not have permission to list data using user account to this. Authenticating this request is not authorized to perform this permission. All right. So, I think basically users are not meant to see this, but the idea is like all of the data you would need are stored in here. Let me also check the other storage accounts here and confirm access. Okay, so these storage accounts are for the web app because I can see app deployment here in question. Yes, let me also check this. Oh, okay, the same thing too. So these storage accounts are for the web app. The one that is actually for the AI search is in question is this. And as you can see here, this content contains all the files that we passed to this particular application. Now, all the contents that we pass to this application are then reviewed in the AI search. But remember here that your AI search is connected to what your Azure OpenAI, right? So this serves like a an LLM, right? That's what you have here. So if you see here on the resource group, good. You see here on the resource group, right? It's in Microsoft Foundry. Your Open AI, it's in Microsoft Foundry, so that you get to see the component. So you can see here is your endpoint, and here is your Open AI endpoint, and here are your endpoints for your Azure AI services, right? So in here, you can then get to see, you can view all the endpoints. You can see these are all the endpoints for attached to your Open AI, and then you can also get to see the model that is deployed for this. You can see here we have a GPT-4 zero mini, right? We use a GPT-4 one mini as our LLM agent or our model, right? And also, aside the 4.1 mini, right, we also use a text embedding tree large model, right? This helps us in analyzing the files itself, right? So this is just a sample of how we built the application, right? So just like you can see in the diagram, we have set up the orchestrator to be our Azure web app, and then we have connected it to an AI search. And then for the Open AI, we also migrated it to the what Microsoft Foundry environment, and that's why you can see the various endpoints and the models that we actually um, that are actually connected to the what Azure Open AI. Right now, we have that in play right now, and for you to see this application in question, all we need to do right now is we come back to Azure Portal. Yeah, we just go back gradually, and then it takes us to Azure Portal. And all we need to now do is to load this. So let's see. Good. Here's the resource group, and then we can open this. Right? We open this. Good. Now you can see here it says Azure Open AI plus AI search, which is just generally what we have here. You can see Azure Open AI plus your AI search. Those are the two parties working. This is just a front end that is built to just generally give you an idea on what kind of questions you can ask, right? So you can see right now that the application is running, right? You can see right now that the application is running. And to actually set this up, I mean, it just takes you running the AZD command. So I will share you with that in a bit so you get to see that. Good. Yes, one moment while I provide you with that data. All right, one moment while I provide you with that data. Okay, good. I think I see it here. So this is it. So this is the environment or the code block I have used in deploying this particular application, which you see that is running right now in my on my system. So basically, all you need to do, all of the code block, the models, the configurations, everything has been done here for you. So you can see you can either decide to deploy this in a local environment, or you can decide to deploy it on cloud. Either way, it works fine, right? Now, when you create your, of course, you authenticate, right, using your AZ Auth login. You create a new environment, and then once you have done that, the next thing you just do is you run the AZD up command, right? What happens is that once you run the AZD up command, it's going to come here, scan through all of the files here. So you can see, uh, I want to show you the section of the code block that has all of this. Uh, the section of the code block that has all of this. So, uh, 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 uh. All right. Okay. So here, I think we can open that here. Okay. No, I'm not getting that open. Just a minute. I want to show you the guide here. Uh, Good. So this is it, and here is the code block itself, right? So in here, of course, you can see deploy existing, right? You can see the instructions which you need to follow to actually set this all up running, right? All the code blocks, all of those things are stored here. So you can see this is the back end, right? You can see these are sample prompts you can run, right? This is what the back end looks like. And for the front end, this is what the front end looks like, right? So I mean, running your AZD up command just helps to set all of this up for you in your Azure environment, and you don't need to bother about this. It even helps you to upload the necessary files which you will need. So all of these files are, you can see for your infra, you can see for all the infra you need, all of this has been set up here, right? All of this has been set up here. Everything you will need for this application to run has all been set up. All of this. So all you just need to do is to run your AZD up command. Just you see here. Once you do that, it sets up the application for you in your environment, and then you are now able to see your first Foundry IQ application. Now, once your application is up and running, all you need to then do is you can set queries like this. You can see what is included in the Northwind Health Plus plan that is not in standard. So you can see those are sample questions, right? And one thing you will notice is that if you remember while I was speaking, I explained to you that one of the things Foundry IQ does is that because of the level, the agentic layer on top of the data, it's able to have an overview of all the files you've provided, right? So it scans, it absorbs all the information in the files, and then it doesn't just take the data in the files and throw back at you. No, it takes the data, it absorbs it in, reasons in, understands it, and provides it back to you in a human readable form that makes logical sense to you based on the prompts or the queries you've asked of it, right? So all of this information are already stored in the files, but because it has that ability to understand the what the files are trying to explain to you, it then takes from the file and gives you the answer. So you see, the question here was, what is included in the Northwind Health Plus plan that is not in the standard, right? And then he comes back and says the Northwind Health Plus plan includes the following benefits that are not in the standard, that are not in the Northwind standard plan. And then you see it begins to go down. So it covers specialty prescription drugs in addition to generic and brand medicines, right? It offers coverage for vision exams. It provides dental coverage. It covers hospital stays. It includes coverage for emergency services. And then it gives you a citation where it found the document, right? So you can see here, this is actually the document in question, right? This is the document in question. So it then gives you a citation. So you can see, or you can see how all of these are written. This is the standard plan, right? This is the health plus plan. So it reads the content of each one of them, does a comparison for you, and gives you back a reply. So you can see that it's carrying out what we call, it synthesizes the context. Like it takes the file, reads it, understands it, synthesizes it, and gives you an accurate description of what the comparison looks like. It doesn't just say, okay, you asked it what's the difference. It doesn't just say, okay, I saw somewhere where there's this and where there's that, and then it will start describing. No, it doesn't just do that. It does a comparison for you based on the query which you've asked it, right? And you can see here the thought process of the prompt, the question I'm asking, right? You can see this is the whole thought process of what is going on, right? And then here it says benefit. So you can see this is where it goes to the files. You can see it absorbs the content and tries to make a comparison between both of them. So you see how this works, right? So we will start again. Oh, I will just go back to ask a question, and then I'll say, what happens in performance review, right? So you can see it's giving us back a reply. During a performance review at Zava, which is conducted annually, your supervisor will discuss your performance over the past year and provide a feedback on areas for what improvement, right? So, I mean, this is actually a wonderful, wonderful application, right? The way Foundry IQ works and what makes it actually interesting is the fact that the agent layer or the knowledge layer called the Foundry IQ, it's able to absorb your data, analyze it, gives you a synthesized reply, right? And something that makes good sense to you, right? You can further ask you can further query it as well to get an understanding of you know what is actually happening there. Let me see another query you can actually ask. You can say, um what's the word again? Yeah, we've talked about this. So you can say something like, can you further elaborate on the benefit options for Java? So look at this. I'm going to ask this, right? I'm going to, you can chat with it, by the way, and you can ask the question. So this is the chat. Can you elaborate further on the benefits of Java? So you see, now you are asking your data, but you are not just asking the data itself, right? Their component, the Foundry IQ, is the one giving you back the answers through the Open AI, the LLM in question, right? So you can see Zava offers two comprehensive health insurance plans through the Northwind Health, right? And then it tells you about Northwind Health, tells you about the standard plan, the Health Plus plan, and then you can see it says additionally, Zava provides workers' compensation insurance through Northwind Health offering benefits for work related injuries or illnesses, including medical care, wage relevant, and it goes down the line, right? So this is about asking questions. Another question you can ask is, what does the project manager do? Here it provides you that chat interface, right? But at the same time, it creates a reference to the file itself. So you can see a product manager at Java is responsible for developing and implementing product strategies and plans that support business objectives and growth, right? So you can see how the agent is really, really working. Now, in case you are wondering, right, where is this agent? Where is this all of this happening? So if you remember, we came here and I took you to um yeah, I took you to Foundry IQ, right? Let me see. I don't know if this project supports this. Okay. Basically, you can be able to see Foundry IQ. Okay, good. Yeah, let's see if this, yeah, let's see if it connects. Good. Okay. So we will go to the Foundry IQ environment. So you actually see how that is actually working. So you come here. No, it should be under build. It should be under build. I'll just do this. And then your knowledge area. You can see this, right? So this is where you actually see your Foundry IQ application, right? So here you can decide to add indexes. I think it is based on the project I've chosen. Let me see. Okay, let me see if this has this. Come to build, come to knowledge. Okay, I wanted to show you. Okay, good. So you see this knowledge area, the knowledge base, which you see here. This knowledge base is from the Azure AI search. So if you look at this here, let me show you this. Good. So if you take a look at here and you go to the resource group, right? So if you come here under the, if you come here, no, okay, it should be under the Azure AI search. Good. Azure AI search under the indexes. So you can see cloud index, cloud indexer, right? That's what you see. Okay, no, the contoso. Okay, this is what you see here under the indexes. Let's see. Did I name it this? Just one moment. One moment. Let me clarify. Okay. Um, one moment. I want to see. I wanted to show you where I gave it that name, Cloud Index. Okay, so okay, yeah, that data sources. So Cloud Index, Cloud Blobs. I think this then shows how all of the files are incorporated from the storage account, right? So generally, this cloud index is gotten from the configurations we have done here. Cloud index, cloud skill set. Okay, cloud contoso. So we're looking for contoso knowledge. Uh, but let me see. I know I did name this under the indexes and indexes. So, okay, what we have actually just done is that we have connected this guy here to this. So here it is called contoso this. Let me see if I can expand this. Oh, I think it's It's giving us some issues here. But generally, this is how this works, right? You can create your knowledge base from virtually anything you need. Your knowledge base is what we call the Foundry IQ. In this case, we have made use of an AI search index, right? So you can see here, you can see that we made use of AI search index. And let's see if we have an existing index. Good. So these are the various indexes we have. We can decide to, right? And just, this is a random name you can give it, right? And then you just create, right? So now, once you have done that, um, you can decide to, for instance, select a model. What model? The model in question which you would like to act as your LLM. Remember, we used a GPT-4 mini earlier for the former or the previous um, knowledge base. Here we can choose a 40, right? And you can see here you can put your settings. Settings is like the reasoning, the retrieval reasoning effort is the amount of effort you want the LLM agent to carry out when retrieving information from the index, right? So you can set between low, medium, or minimal. So I leave it at minimal. And in the output mode, you can see answer synthesis or extractive data. Now, remember what I told you about answer synthesis, right? Generally, for answer synthesis is the fact that you want it to not just give you what it sees in the file, but it should be able to analyze what is in the file and give you a responsible answer, an answer that you can understand, that you can relate to. That's what answer synthesis does. And then once you have done that, you can put answer instructions here if you like, and then you can put retrieval instructions here as well, right? These are instructions you generally give your agent, and then what you save your knowledge base, right? So you can see here, you can save your knowledge base, and then you can use your knowledge base in an agent. So in case you want to create an agent, you can do that. So now we now have two Foundry IQ sources, right? One was from these indexes. You can see these knowledge sources here, which we see here. I want to see if we see the knowledge sources here. Okay, they don't show here. It's possible that I'm looking at a different search. So I'll come here and see show AI search, AI search, and let me look at this here. Okay, look good. So this is actually the knowledge search which I connected to that Foundry. So you can see here, from here, you can see that this Contoso multi-index KB, right, is containing these sources, which is Contoso Insurance FAQ Index. This is what you find Contoso Insurance FAQ Index. You can see here. And in here, I have about two documents connected to this particular index, right? The same thing you can see for all of this. And the indexer in question, let me see whether I added it in knowledge. Okay, good, good. So you can see Contoso multiple index KB, right? That's where you have this Contoso multi index KB. So this was what I was actually, so that's the knowledge base we are using. So the knowledge base in itself you can consider as what we call Foundry IQ, because now we've connected the knowledge base to an agent to analyze it and understand what is in the file and give you accurate answers. So just like I explained, to set up or to build your first Foundry IQ application, all you need to do is to follow the steps in this document here. You can see all you need to do, download the repository. Once you download the repository, you use the install the AZD in it, right? That's what you're going to use here to set up this environment. You initialize. Once you initialize, you log in AZD auth using device code, you create a new environment, and you do an AZD up. And with that, you can set up your first Foundry IQ application. So, guys, with this, I hope that you did learn something about Foundry IQ, and I hope this was really, really meaningful to you. So, of course, we'll be talking more on, various, I would say, topics when it comes to this. So, if you have any questions regarding this, don't hesitate to comment here on the post, right? And of course, you can also reach me up on LinkedIn. My name is Promise Uche Onwachku on LinkedIn, right? You can search me up on LinkedIn. And of course, guys, if you haven't followed our social media pages, I'd love for you to do that, right? I'd love for you to do that. So, of course, follow our social media pages. On Meetup, we are called the Azure Infrastructure and DevOps Support Community, right? On YouTube, of course, which is where you're watching us from right now, it's called the is on YouTube is called the Azure. I think the link is yes, I have the link screen up here. On LinkedIn, we are called the Azure dash infrastructure dash DevOps dash support dash community. On YouTube, it's called the Azure dash infra dash DevOps dash support dash com. And also on Meetup is Azure Infrastructure and DevOps Support Community. So, guys, ensure to follow our social media pages. And of course, we'll be giving you content as we go on. So, for all of you that took your time to actually listen to us, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, send us your questions if you have them, and we'll be happy to provide answers to them. At this point in time, I'll be rounding up the session, and I'd like to say thank you, everyone that did show up, that did listen, and goodbye for now. Bye bye.